Hello, and well done for taking the time to check out this video lesson. It's students like you who make the effort to learn what you need to in order to reach your education goals who get the best results. I'm Damon Bailey, and in this video lesson we're going to look at all three parts of the IELTS speaking test and show you what you should include in your answers to really impress the examiner. Over the next few minutes, you're going to get really clear about what you need to do to get a great score during the IELTS speaking test. Not only are you going to get a complete understanding of the speaking test, but I will also show you what steps you need to be taking to increase your score in every section of the test. Because speaking is just one skill that is tested, and it is a part of a bigger picture that we will also look at more in this video. Firstly, let's look at the three sections of the IELTS speaking test. Part 1 of the IELTS speaking test is called the Introduction and Interview. At the beginning of the speaking test, the examiner will introduce himself or herself and ask you to confirm your identity. We recommend you do this using the same form of identification you used to book the test or when you checked in. Then the examiner will ask you some questions about your work or studies or the place where you live. So it's good to make sure you practice answering questions on these topics. After this, you will be asked questions on an additional 2 topics that the examiner chooses. These are often everyday topics that you are familiar with, such as your hobbies, your city, sports, television, music you enjoy, or the weather. And there are many more. So what's being tested during part 1 of the speaking test? Part 1 of the IELTS speaking test is mainly testing for 2 things: everyday vocabulary and basic grammar. So how should you answer part 1 questions? Firstly, it's very important to listen to the question carefully so that you do not have to ask the examiner to repeat the question and you can answer straight away. The way we advise you to answer part 1 questions is very simple. We recommend that you give a 2-part answer. Initially, you should give a direct answer and answer the question. But if you want to improve your score, you need to offer more details or information. Here is an example of this in practice. If the examiner asks you, "Where is your house located?" you need to provide an answer to the question, such as, "Currently I live in District 3 in Ho Chi Minh City." This is our direct answer, but this is just the first step. Now you need to give some more information to take a very basic answer and make it a great part 1 answer. For example, if the examiner asks you, "Where is your house located?" you can give your direct answer and answer the question, but now it is time to add more details. District 3 is close to the center of town, so it is easy to access many different amenities and important public places in the city. Our house is located in a small alley away from main roads, so fortunately we don't get disturbed by the noise from local traffic. Giving plenty of detail in your answers will increase your likelihood of getting a high score. Now let's look at how long your part 1 answers should be. When answering part 1 questions, you always want your answers to sound as natural as possible. Our recommendation on answer length is between 15 to 25 seconds. This means any answer that is about 20 seconds long is a good answer length for speaking part 1. Remember that you are aiming for a natural sounding answer, so some of your answers will be shorter, perhaps 10 seconds, and some of your answers will be longer, perhaps around 30 seconds, especially when you're giving more details or adding more information. If you were to write out an answer for part 1, the answer would be approximately 2 to 3 sentences long. It is not necessary to give longer answers than this because you will be tested on your ability to speak at length in part 2 of the speaking test. What you are aiming for is a good balance of answer lengths, some shorter and some longer, which will also make your answers sound much more natural. Now, we'll look at part 2 of the IELTS speaking test. You'll know that part 2 of the speaking test is beginning because the examiner will say the following. Now I'm going to give you a topic and I'd like you to talk about this topic for 1 to 2 minutes. Before you speak, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say, and you can make some notes on this piece of paper if you wish. Do you understand? Here's your topic. I'd like you to describe. The examiner will give you the following things. A cue card, like the one you can see here. This cue card contains the topic that you will talk about. The examiner will also provide a pencil and a piece of paper. You will get 1 minute to make notes about the topic that you've been given. It's important to use your 1 minute thinking time wisely by making sure that you read and understand the topic. Make sure you understand the topic fully because if you need to ask any questions, you should do this during your 1 minute thinking time. So let's look at how to make notes for the long turn. When making notes, I always try to jot down enough points so that I cover everything on the cue card. At the top of the card, you'll be asked to describe something. So the first thing I do is to jot down some points for the description at the top. Next, I make notes for each of the prompts on the cue card. And at the bottom of the card, you'll be asked to explain something. So I add some final points for the explanation and think about how I will summarize my talk in the final sentence. When you're making your notes, make sure you do not write sentences because this takes too much time. Just write keywords or short phrases that will help you remember the various parts of your short story. Then expand on each point and offer more details about each one. These notes are for you, not the examiner, so you don't have to write full words, just simple notes that you will understand. Make sure you write on the piece of paper you were given and not on the topic card. After you make some short notes, the examiner will then let you know that it's time to begin your long turn by saying something like this. All right, now remember, you have 1 to 2 minutes to talk about this topic and don't worry if I stop you. I'll tell you when the time's up. Could you start speaking now, please? During the long turn, you can keep the cue card with you and you're able to look at it while you're speaking. You're expected to speak continuously for 1 to 2 minutes. So here's an example of how I would complete the long turn. When I begin my talk, I like to start with an opening statement that answers the description at the top of the card. And then I continue to cover each of the following points on the card. The most interesting city I've visited is Chiang Mai in northern Thailand. Chiang Mai is situated approximately 700 kilometers north of Bangkok, which is Thailand's biggest city. I've been to Chiang Mai 3 times, but my most memorable visit was in November of 2016 when I went there for the Loy Krathong Lantern Festival. It's a spectacular event with thousands of lanterns released into the night sky, a scene which, to me, almost resembled jellyfish floating in the ocean. I dreamed of attending this festival for many years, so I was really happy to be able to tick this off my bucket list. When I stayed in Chiang Mai, I visited a Buddhist temple at Doi Satep. The temple was built in the 14th century and it's located in the hills outside Chiang Mai, so it affords visitors some fantastic views back to Chiang Mai city. The centre of Chiang Mai consists of an old city which is surrounded by some crumbling brick walls. Housed within the old city are a number of impressive temples, and I visited many of the most well-known ones. The old city was really interesting to me because there are a number of art galleries within the city walls, and many people are undertaking a variety of different creative projects. Chiang Mai has a really relaxed, laid-back atmosphere, and there are also lots of places to try some great local food or buy local goods at an array of different street markets. I really enjoy visiting Chiang Mai because it's such a wonderful mix of an ancient culture and traditions, but it has all the modern amenities you need to make your trip comfortable and enjoyable. I highly recommend it as a tourist destination, and I'm planning to go back to Chiang Mai again in the future. After 2 minutes is up, the examiner will say thank you. When you hear this, you can stop speaking immediately, as there's no need to finish what you're saying. So what skills are being tested during part 2 of the speaking test? Part 2 of the speaking test looks closely at your skill and ability in narrating and telling a story. The most important skills that are looked at when you're narrating a story are fluency. Can you keep talking continuously, and do you do so at a natural speed? And coherence. Are you able to speak in a way that can easily be followed because the story you tell is complete, logically arranged, and all connected so as to form a whole? During the long turn, the examiner is listening to hear that each idea or piece of information is linked by introductory expressions or phrases, such as, when I stayed in Chiang Mai, I visited. I really enjoy visiting Chiang Mai because. Phrases like these introduce the main points in your talk, and this helps your story to flow more smoothly, giving the story a sense of wholeness. It's important that you stay on topic and cover what's been asked on the cue card in your story. You should also ensure that all the points are linked together in a logical sequence. We recommend that you follow the same order as on the card. After you've completed the 2-minute long turn, the examiner may ask 1 to 2 follow-up questions that are related to the topic you spoke about during the long turn. Part 3 of the speaking test is a two-way discussion with the examiner. In this section will last for about 4 to 5 minutes. During Part 3, the time will be controlled by the examiner. The questions that you get in Part 3 are connected to the topic that you spoke about in Part 2. These questions will allow you to discuss more abstract issues and ideas. If you don't understand a question the examiner has asked, then you can ask them if they can explain it to you in a simpler way. However, I recommend that you make sure you do not do this too much and that you listen carefully to the question you're being asked. How should you answer Part 3 questions? When you're doing Part 3 of the IELTS speaking test, you should think of it as a conversation between two people. It is a discussion with the examiner, where you will share your personal opinion on a variety of issues. The most important thing to do during Part 3 of the speaking test is to offer your opinion and to say what you think. The answers you give in Part 3 should be longer than those you gave in Part 1. It's great if you can also include examples when giving your Part 3 answers. If you can offer potential solutions to different social issues, this will give you more things to talk about. And be sure to stay on topic and not to talk about things unrelated to the question. Here's my advice on how you can structure your answer when you're asked questions in Part 3. Firstly, give an answer to the question that states your opinion or what you think. Then, give a further explanation as to why you believe this or hold this opinion. If you can, give an example or examples that support your argument. And you can also talk about opposing opinions or possible alternatives. Here's an example of a Part 3 question and answer that's been created using the structure we just talked about. Are people spending too much time on the internet? Yes, I think people are definitely spending too much time on the internet on a daily basis. That's the opinion. I think we're becoming far too reliant on the internet and mobile devices to guide us in choosing places to shop, places to eat, and to assist in communicating with our friends. And that's a further explanation. In many countries, it's become a concern that modern technology and the internet can be addictive and is also contributing to the modern obesity epidemic. That's an example of problems it may cause. However, I can see how using the internet also does have its advantages in our fast-paced modern world. And that's what's called a concession, where we can see opposing opinions or possible alternatives. Please remember though, the most important thing you can do during Part 3 is to give your opinion and explain why you have that opinion. The number one thing that will help you to boost your band score during the IELTS speaking test is to make sure that you practice the skills you've learnt in this lesson. Now you know how the speaking test is conducted and what to do for each section to maximize your chances of getting a high score. But this is only part of a greater solution that we've created to help you boost your band score for every section of the IELTS test without all the stress and frustration. So let me show you the 3 simple steps you need to take to help you to boost your band score by up to 2 bands in 54 days or less without paying too much for lessons. There are 3 steps every student needs to take to help you achieve your IELTS goals. You need to analyze the test format so that you have a clear understanding of how the test is conducted and how you are assessed by the examiner. You need to take action and learn the correct way to structure your answers. And you need to practice your new skills to achieve a great result. Taking these 3 important steps in the correct order will take you from where you are now to being completely ready for the IELTS test. By following our clear step-by-step method, it is possible to boost your band score by up to 2 bands in 54 days or less without paying too much for lessons. So who is this course for? The IELTS Whiz course is for people who are planning to take the IELTS academic test. Students who would like to study abroad, students who are entering or leaving university, and students who are trying to get scholarships. This course is not for people who are planning to take the IELTS general training test. Now this is Hung, who needed to sit the IELTS test to be able to get into RMIT in Melbourne, Australia. Now she's currently studying a Master's in Business Administration and is going to graduate in the next couple of months. It's your choice. You can do it the hard way, putting things together for yourself, frustrated and stressed, following exactly the same path you were on before, or you can do this course that we created for people just like you. We provide all the guidance and resources you need to take you from where you are now and help you to become totally prepared for the IELTS test. If it's okay with you, I would like to show you what we've created to help you boost your band score during the IELTS test. Firstly, we have a 9-part video series called Getting Started, which helps you to get a complete understanding of the test format and how the examiner gives you your band score. Next, we have a 10-part video series that shows you how to write Task 1 reports. We also give you model answers and practice exercises for all of the different task types that you could get during the test. For writing Task 2, we explain how to complete each of the different essay types in detail. Along with the video lessons, there are model answers and practice questions for each of the essay types you may be asked to complete. For speaking, there is an 8-part video series that explains how to do speaking part 1, part 2, and part 3. Plus, there are practice questions for each of the different sections of the speaking test. For reading, there is an 11-part video series that explains each of the different task types, and we give you practice exercises for you to complete after watching each of the video lessons. For listening, there is an 8-part video series along with practice questions, audio files, and a downloadable script, so you can review your answers after doing each practice test. As part of your final preparations before the test, we have a video called Test Day Advice and a Test Day Checklist, so you can go into the test knowing you are totally prepared and ready to do your best. We also have a Facebook group that we created, so you can connect with other students doing the IELTS test and ask questions about things you're unsure of. Now, if I was to sell these courses separately, the cost would be $397. But when we sell them together on our website, the course is not $397 or even $297, it's only $97. We truly believe in the ability of the Band Score Booster course to help you to boost your band score during the IELTS test, which is why there's a 14-day no questions asked money back guarantee on all purchases of the Band Score Booster course. If you're unsatisfied for any reason at all, simply let us know and I will buy the program back from you with no questions asked. You can purchase with the safety and security of knowing our work is 100% guaranteed. You can do what you've done before and you will get the same results you've always experienced. You can stay on the path you're on with the same struggles and frustrations, or you can do this course that we put together just for you. You know that it's important for you to have a clear, step-by-step method you can follow to reach your goals, and that it's important to have a high-quality education so you have better job opportunities and a higher salary in the future. Following our step-by-step process will help you to stay on track and achieve your education goals more quickly, because absolutely everything that you need to reach your IELTS goals is all in one place. So remember, here's what you get when you join. You get the Getting Started video lessons and planner, you get the writing lessons, speaking lessons, reading lessons, and listening lessons, along with all the model answers, practice questions, and exercises. You get the Test Day Advice video and checklist, and you will become part of our Facebook community. In total, there are 57 video lessons, and they show you how to do each of the different sections of the IELTS test. Remember, it all comes back with our 14-day money-back guarantee. I've also tried to keep the cost down so it's within reach of all students. This means you get everything you need to do well in the IELTS test for only $97 for a 1-year membership. Now, where will you be in 90 days to a year if you don't get started now? If you don't take action, nothing is going to change. To achieve your education goals and your goals for the future, you need to get started now. It's time to take action and do what is necessary to reach your goals. So as you can clearly see, improving your speaking score is just a part of this greater journey. And we have a proven model with a very specific framework to get you from here to there. So what I'd like to do now is invite you to become part of the IELTS Whiz community. so you can get started doing the top 3 things you should be doing right now if you want to begin boosting your IELTS band score. So go ahead and click on the button below and join us in the community. I'm sure you'll be happy with your decision, and I look forward to getting to know you and hearing about your great IELTS test results.